Welcome to another exciting edition to Grove City Hockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college. Incredible.
Hey guys, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cut Shield, for bringing you this episode. Make sure you check them out on the link below and use the promo code for 25% off your order. Used by all 32 NHL teams and players, Cut Shield is the premier protective player clothing designed by players for players. Their innovative cut-resistant clothing has prevented serious injury to numerous players, including over 30 NHL players. Cut Shield gives you the peace of mind to go out and play without worrying about injury. Use our promo code Grove City Hockey, all lowercase and no space, for an additional 25% off your order today. Welcome to GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is a very special guest. I've got the commissioner of the Wheelchair Hockey League of Michigan, Dean Olivas. Is that or Olivas? Did I get it right this time?
Olivas. It's close enough.
Olivas.
Close enough.
I always find a way to butcher. And so when I was interviewing Jake Kopitsky the other night, I got his name right off air. And just like I did with yours, and then as soon as the lights came on, I went, and so
you're not the first person to get it wrong. You won't be the last. It's okay. I have zero offense to it. Don't worry. Just call me cool. Dean. That's easier.
Dean, I appreciate it. So I've been trying to get you on this pod for quite a few weeks now.
Yeah,
it felt like almost 4 months. We just could not quite sync up. But I want you to tell us what's going on with the Michigan Wheelchair Hockey League of Michigan. It's one of those leagues that I didn't even know existed in Michigan. You guys are playing out of which arena again?
We're in Big Boy Arena in Fraser.
In Fraser, okay.
Michigan.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so tell me, how did you get involved in wheelchair hockey?
Sure. So kind of start from a baseline, I guess, because you said you didn't know it existed, and that's kind of a thing that we see a lot. Is a lot of people don't know about us. It's kind of a common trend. Wheelchair Hockey League of Michigan's been around since I think 1996, so it's been around for a long time in some capacity. The biggest issue for us has always been that we've bounced around in different locations. So when I started in 2001. We played at a location called Ward Church, which is in Livonia, Michigan. We've played in, I'm trying to think of all the places, West Bloomfield. We've played in Warren. We've played in Taylor. We've bounced around a lot of different places, and it's been really difficult for us to find a home. But as you kind of brought up earlier, playing in Fraser now, we've played there this is our third year there. So we've been kind of forming a little bit of a relationship with the arena there, and also Fraser Roller Hockey League to be able to kind of form a little bit of a bond there to give us a home type of thing. To answer your initial question, though, of how I got started, I started in 2001, like I said. To be honest with you, I was pretty young back then. I think I was around 10 or 11. Okay. So it's a little bit foggy on how exactly I found it, but I'm pretty sure my mom ended up finding it talking from another parent, I think at hospital or something to that effect. It was always kind of word of mouth. That was always kind of how we found people, as, the disabled community. You kind of see there's a lot of, word who knows who kind of thing, and that type of thing. So that's kind of how I started. I've always loved hockey and wanted to play, and we found the league, and it was a great opportunity to join.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Now, how many teams do you guys have in your league right now? And then are there other rinks throughout Michigan that also participate, or is it just mainly in that Detroit area?
So in our league, we have 3 teams currently, 3 teams of 8 to 10 players. We're kind of up and up a little bit more this year, which is nice to see. In the past, the most we've had is 5 teams in the league with, again, around that 8 to 10 player range. We've just kind of seen fluctuation with COVID and all that stuff. So, but yeah, 3 teams right now. As far as other leagues in the league, in the state rather, right now, we're the only main floor hockey, I guess you could call it, wheelchair hockey league right now that allows both electric chairs and manual chairs. There is some athletics going on at Michigan State where they're kind of building a little bit of a program there. I shouldn't even say a little bit. They've been building a lot of stuff, but it's not like a dedicated league up at Michigan State in Lansing. And then also we have kind of started in the past year and a half having kind of like some clinics over on the west side of the state. So getting some stuff going over there, like Benton Harbor area. So it's not a full-fledged league, more just kind of like clinics, see it, try it out kind of thing. So we're trying to expand it as we go, but as far as right now, we're the only one.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, you got, fluctuation is going to happen, depending on, like you were saying with COVID, some of the older players maybe retiring, not able to do it as well as they would like to do. How competitive is the games? Because that's something that, like I've been hoping to see some clips here and there. I haven't had a chance to really get into a lot of the research, because as soon as I saw you on with Frazier, it was like a Frazier Facebook post, and I just started emailing you right away, and was just trying to get some kind of contact so that way we could talk about it. Because that's something that I think is pretty special. That hey, there might be some kids in that metro area that may not know about it, and we can get some exposure for you.
Yeah, as far as competition levels, I would definitely say it's very competitive. We kind of pride ourselves on the sport as a whole being both an accessible league, or accessible sport rather, while also still maintaining competitive nature to it. We don't necessarily want it to be something that is, just for fun kind of thing. There's other avenues for that, and that's great, but we want this to be a competitive outlet for individuals with disabilities. One thing that we didn't touch on yet, because you had mentioned or asked how many teams there are, is there actually is a travel aspect of it as well. So we do have a travel team as well, and that's comprised of, the best players in the league, the best 10, 13 players in the league, somewhere in that range. I don't remember the exact amount. And the travel events get incredibly competitive. So not to downplay the house league type of stuff, because it's still very competitive out there, but that's, best on best. And that stuff is like dangerous level of competition. But ours is a little bit more grounded, but it's still very competitive. Nobody shows up to say, oh, we're going to lose today. Everybody's trying to win. So it's incredibly competitive. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, so tell me a little bit about the game. How is it played? Is it 4-on-4? Is it 5-on-5? Do you guys have set goalies? Is it more of a rotational system? Like, explain to our viewers, like what a typical wheelchair hockey game would look like.
Yeah, so we try to keep it as much as ice hockey or roller hockey, traditional hockey, as we possibly can. Obviously, there's some limitations. Some things are going to be different. But for the most part, yeah, it's pretty similar. It does play 4-on-4. So typically, strategy, you can kind of implement it however you want. But the standard set is going to be 3 forwards and 1 defenseman. And then there are goalies as well, yes. As far as rotation, goalies is just kind of, whoever is played the position, it's a little more accessible in terms of, we don't have to wear pads and find, different skates and all that. But there are set goalies, like myself, actually. I've played goalie pretty much my whole entire career. That's been I'm one of the weird ones. That's been the position I wanted to play since I was a kid. So yeah, it's not necessarily a rotational thing, I would say. There are people who are dedicated goalies, but then also it's kind of team dependent. I'm sure, as you know, playing roller, sometimes people don't show up, sometimes people do, and you got to fill in and do the best you can. So
you got to make do.
Yeah. And then as far as like how it's played, like I said, it's very standard in terms of like hockey in that sense. We have very similar rule sets. One thing that's different is our offside is actually the center ice line as opposed to blue lines. It's just a little bit smaller of a court. Like, yeah, we don't play on like a full-sized roller rink. It's kind of more a condensed version. We have these like padded boards that we create sort of a circle or a square around, or I guess a rectangle, it would be a rectangle around to, to create the playing surface. It's not quite the size of a full rink. That would be just a little too much. But yeah, similar rule set. There's, your slashing, your high stick, your interference. You can't do that kind of stuff. There are some rules that are a little bit more catered towards wheelchair oriented things like dangerous driving. Don't drive like a jerk, that kind of thing. Be smart with it.
Right.
But yeah, and then we play with a wiffle ball instead of a puck.
Okay.
That's a big difference that I think is kind of the main big difference as far as like how it's played. But, it's still pass and shoot. It's still hockey, right?
Right, absolutely. That's really cool. Now, and then you were talking about the travel aspect of it. Now, how many leagues are there throughout the United States, or is that a question that you might not know off the top of your head?
No, I know it. There's right
perfect.
now there's only 2 in the U.S. There used to be 4. Minnesota was kind of the one that started in the U.S. They've unfortunately kind of dissipated over the years, more so in the past recent years. And then there used to be a league in North Carolina as well that has not played in probably 6 or 7 years now. But the other main active league is Philadelphia. They've been going strong for a while. But it expands more outside of the U.S. and into Canada. That's kind of where the North American game is at. So there's, I think, 7 Canadian teams, 6 Canadian teams, somewhere around that range. I don't have the exact number on that, but somewhere in that range. There is also a different version of the sport that's played at the international level. That one is a little bit different. That one operates more like soccer, and I will say it's more structured though. So we're kind of, I could talk to you about this all day. This is a long story, but we're a little bit more archaic in how things are going. We're still trying to fix things. It's another story for another day, but, yeah, we kind of play our own different version that's more like hockey, and we're kind of bent on playing that because we want to play hockey. We don't want to play the international variant. But yeah, there's a lot of teams spreading through North America.
Yeah, because that was going to be my follow-up question was like, is there teams like overseas that are doing your style of hockey, or is it like but you already answered that, because I know in roller hockey there's a lot of pro leagues in Italy, Spain, France. So is it a huge market, or is it still kind of on the smaller scale?
I would call the North American variant on the smaller scale. I would call the European version probably on like the medium scale as far as disabled sports go. Neither is a Paralympic sport. That's kind of like the high end, right? But I would say that the Olympic or the European version is getting close to that level because they have so many teams country-wise that they've been able to bring in, and it is so structured. So they're a lot closer to being a Paralympic sport. Like I said, it's kind of crazy. Our variant of the sport has been around since like the 90s or the mid 80s, somewhere in that range. Canada's been doing it for a long time, but it's just been a long road to get on the same what am I trying to say? Like the same page with everybody. Yeah. It's a long story.
Right.
Politics and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you guys will get there. So tell me a little bit about the travel aspect of it, because you said, so do you guys mainly battle it out with the Canadian teams and the Philadelphia guys, or and then where do you guys meet up as far as the geography of that, or do you guys do like a home and home type of situation?
So again, it's kind of COVID has changed the world entirely, right? So we haven't been able to unfortunately play in a long time. From an international standpoint, we did host Philadelphia actually at Fraser this past, not this past summer, but the summer before that. So what was that? I don't know, all the years blend together at this point. 2022, I think it was. 2022, we actually had them out here, which was really cool to have. When I started in 2001, but I was able to make the travel team by 2006. My first tournament was in Calgary, and there was 8 teams that participated in that tournament. So kind of the structure has always been that every other year there is a quote unquote big scale tournament where it's 6 to 8 teams competing for what's called the Power Hockey Cup. And the bidding process for that just kind of goes on who's able to want to afford the tournament and who's able to host it. And, there's, like I said, politics with it all. And it's just it's kind of a bid process to be able to say, hey, we want to host it. We can host it here. We can do X, Y, Z. But yeah, so as far as like the teams we're playing, it's the U.S. teams and the Canadian teams are kind of mixing together to compete, and it's been different over the years of what teams have attended. But I would say Michigan, we've been one of the more consistent. We have been the most consistent probably since 2008. I think we're the only one who hasn't missed the tournament.
Wow.
Minnesota just kind of new. I guess Minnesota hasn't missed either. Their dismantling is kind of newer, not dismantling, but their state that they're in is kind of new. So we're the only one who hasn't missed, including Minnesota. I think. Don't hold me to that, but somewhere around that.
I won't hold it to you because I don't know all the facts myself. I'm just learning as well, and which this is it's amazing because not many people that have those type of disabilities have that type of opportunities to play. Me coming from a hard of hearing background, not many people know that I am hearing impaired and have been since have been 2.5, and sometimes it's difficult to hear your teammates out there on the floor.
Oh, for sure.
So for me, I'm always constantly looking, making eye contact, seeing what I can do. Trying to, keeping my head on a swivel, which really helped out the game for me. So, and then I'm not always just trying to chirp anybody out because half the time I don't even hear what they say, which is perfect. Which is perfect for me when I'm reffing because I said I can barely hear you half the time. So
perfect.
Chirp away and say whatever you got to say because I'm probably not going to blow you for a misconduct yet.
Well, I'm the one who's yelling at the ref, so it's good then that you're not reffing us. You wouldn't hear me.
But it's crazy because like my level of deafness, I guess you want to call it, is where if you test another individual that has the same level, they would only be able to recite 25 to 30% of the words. Like when they do a repeat after me, I'm at 99.9%. So. It's a drastically different type of situation. So it's almost like it's a non-issue. But there are times where I'm just going, I didn't even hear what you said. So let's just keep playing.
I think the interesting about that, and thank you for sharing. I didn't obviously know that. It's interesting because you pointed out that you got to keep your head on a swivel when you're out there playing, right? And the big thing is, right, you're using your brain because if you can't hear your teammates, you have to process what's the next play. Yep. Is this guy going to throw the pass over to me? Am I going to have to, make the stick lift here or whatever, right? You got to keep your eyes open to the game a little bit more and use your brain. And that's the really cool thing about our sport is that it's not limiting necessarily in ability. You could have a severe disability where you have no function of your motor skills or whatever you want to say. But if you have the brain to be able to process, the play, there's still a role for you out there. I mean, obviously the people with the physical abilities, the upper body strength, they're going to be the ones scoring the goals more often than not, but it doesn't mean that you can't compete or play. There's still a role for you. And that's kind of the cool thing about our sport and our variant, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And I think it really helped me become a better player just because, like you were saying, you have to, everybody can chirp and chirp and all that stuff, but if you're the quiet guy on the floor, you're probably one of the most dangerous ones because you can see things before it happens. You may not be able to relay that information to your teammates as quickly. You just know, okay, hey, this guy's about to break, this guy's about to cut through, and I've noticed that when I'm calling the game sometimes too, that I'm going, this guy's just about to make this type of play. And he'll either make that play or he'll do something completely different. So, and I'm usually right about 75% of the time, which, I'll take that as a win.
Yeah, that's a win. In hockey? Heck yeah, that's a win. I'll take 75%.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, you only miss 100% of your shots you don't take, right?
Yeah. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. Yep.
There you go. So, tell us a little bit about the international style. How is it different versus the the North American style? Because you said it was very it's very soccer esque.
Yeah,
Explain that so that that we can understand that.
it's tough for me to explain without visually seeing it, I think. And
Okay.
also, again, I've never played the international version, so I can't, 100% show you, but there's a lot of differences. I think one of the big things that's kind of different is the size of their nets. So we kind of
Okay.
we don't use a full size like hockey net, but we use
Hmm.
a standard cage, right? Like it's a cage net. Their nets are like a foot tall by 6 wide. So they're these really
Okay.
short, super long nets
Okay.
that it just looks different, right? And it's kind
Hmm.
of, it's really tough to explain without showing you. There's other things though, like they have like the face off is like one team gets it, almost kind of like a free kick kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like one team gets it and they get to enter the offensive zone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough to say without showing. There's probably hopefully some clips here I can send you and throw them on here, and you can kind of see the differences in the sport. One thing that they have though that is exceptionally better than us though is they have a ranking system that way outdoes ours. So we're working on that. So in the tournament level play, there's a ranking system to ensure that nobody is outperforming anybody else in terms of physical skill. Like you would have your level 1 player in our variant is the most physically capable player. They have great upper body strength. They can reach behind their chair. They have a lot of dexterity or whatever. And your level 3 player is typically someone who's their stick is taped to their chair. Or they have some sort of modification to be able to play. Our ranking system was made in whenever the international version started, and it hasn't really been modified a lot since. So the game has evolved, whereas theirs is ever changing, and it's so incredibly detailed to the fact where they have actual physical therapists evaluate players before the tournament even starts to say this player has this player has that, this player has this. So it's so incredibly more detailed. That's one of the biggest things that they have in terms of like we need to adapt that. We're working on it, but it's always a long road.
Right. Now, where can individuals find information on the Wheelchair Hockey League of Michigan? Why don't you go ahead and plug your website in or your Facebook page?
Sure. Yeah, our website is just thewchl.com. And then if you search the WCHL or wheelchair hockey on Facebook, I think it's facebook.com/the WCHL also. But if not, if you search Wheelchair Hockey League, we should be the first one comes up, or one of our friends from other countries or states should come up. But yeah, that's the best place to find it. And we also have a link to our YouTube. It's on our page. You can see a lot more content there. You can see past tournaments. One of the cool things with Fraser is we've been able to record every game for the last couple seasons. I think we missed like one or two. But all of our house league games are on there, so you can kind of see the differences between tournament level and house league. So yeah, a lot of utility on our website, and yeah, we're always looking for people to check us out.
Yeah, well, make sure you guys check out the WCHL. Did I say that right?
Yep, you got it.
Awesome. And check it out. Check out their YouTube channel. Because you don't know, you may know somebody who's looking to play some hockey that this would be the perfect league for them to get out there and get some exercise and get their competitive juices flowing again. I think it's a great league to be a part of, and I hope that we can find some more players to help elevate the league to new heights as well.
Yeah, that's definitely my goal. Is we need to find more players, especially younger players. Not that it's limited if you're someone a little bit older. We welcome anybody, but we need to get some youth in our league. And I will say also too, even if you're not somebody who's has a physical disability, if you're hearing this and you're interested, we're always looking for volunteers to support with refereeing or helping keep stats, or even we do in the playoffs, we run music. So we're always looking for stuff, for help in terms of volunteering. So there's options out there as well if you're hearing this and you think that this just sounds like a really cool opportunity. So we appreciate anything we can get, and we're always looking.
Yeah, and then you got the playoffs coming up here pretty soon too, right?
We do. Yep. So we're in week 10 coming up. Week 10 with one of them being canceled, but we'll see if that one gets picked back up. So week 10 coming up. Playoffs will start in early April, I believe. Early April, late April, around there. I have to check the schedule, but yeah, it'll be a good time for sure. Teams competing for what we call the Jason Drapinski Memorial Cup. This will be the third annual year of that particular championship. So yeah, good competition out there right now. The standings are really close. Each team within 2-3 points of each other. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Which is really cool. And then not only that, but then you guys also do a best of, right? You do a best of 3 or a best of 5?
Best of 3. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. So the playoffs with our 3 teams, the team that finishes first in the regular season gets a bye and automatic, to the first round, and then the 2 and 3 seed play in a 3 game format, and then the finals in a 3 game format. So, yeah,
dude, that's awesome. I feel like that is true style of hockey, because then that way you get a chance to really see who the better team is. Because when you play one and dones, and I was talking to Jake Kapitsky about this with the U.S. Roller Cup, his pro series is going to have a best of 3 as well. And he's like, anybody can come in, run hot on that one day, or that one game, but then have to play another game, shortly after. Because I think he does. I think the way he set it up was. You have your game 1 championship game, and then there's a game in between. Then game 2 is right after that game break, and then game 3 would also be in that game break. How are you setting your games up? Or is it like in a 3-week setting, or?
Yeah, so again, it's always based on availability of rink, right? But ours is not the same day. Actually, I would love that. It would sound way better. When we do tournaments, it's usually you're playing 2-3 games a day. It can be difficult to do that with wheelchairs, obviously, power consumption and also just availability of people, right? It's hard to commit to if you're talking one game and then a break, you're talking 6 hours basically out of the day right there. So it's a hard commit for some people. But we do, like 1 week, and then, maybe it's the next week or the week after that, it's game 2. And then, next week after that, it's game 3 if needed, or first game of the finals. We have it all set up in the schedule. It is a little bit availability based on the rink, but we try to do like every other week if we can at a minimum.
Oh, that's awesome. So now we talked about that. Now let's talk about you. How did you fall in love with the game of hockey? What was the thing that drew you to? I mean, because you had I'm sure you've had other opportunities to play basketball, or I think I've seen wheelchair rugby. Any of these other sports that have these opportunities for disabled individuals to participate in a sport. What drew you more to hockey than anything else?
I'm from Michigan, man. What do you expect? Detroit Red Wings. Come on now.
As I'm wearing my Colorado Avalanche
shirt. A gross shirt there. It's disgusting. It's okay. Whatever. Made Patrick Wall retire. It's fine.
It's my favorite player, too.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just glad he's
That's
back
what hockey's about. It's rivalries, right? Yeah, I mean, being from Michigan, obviously growing up a Red Wings fan, that's like a big key component of that. As far as other sports, one thing that, like I kind of mentioned before, is just accessibility that you find. I'm not, the least physically able, but I'm also not the most physically able. So basketball is not an option for me. Sled hockey, which is another version of hockey, that's a whole nother thing, not an option for me. Trying to think of the other stuff. Some of the other stuff I'm just not interested in. I don't care about rugby. That's no discredit to them. Great sport, and they're insane competition for sure. But it's not something I'm interested in. So the second I heard hockey was available as a 10-year-old, and it was a version that I could play, it was sign me up. Let's go. When are we doing this? I want to play tomorrow. And yeah, it's just been. I've loved it ever since. Being able to grow into a leader has really been a huge thing for me in my life through hockey, I think. I was a captain for the first time, I think, assistant captain when I was 14 or 15. And, I was a shy freshman kid at school, and it opens you up. You have to go to hockey and you have to lead, right? So that aspect of it just has made me a better person, I think. And I've always just loved that. So I love the competition. I love the leadership. I love the strategy of it, because there's just so much to it, right? It's not just to show up and see who wins. There's so much to it. And I love hockey. So that's what led me to it.
Cool. Now, what's your favorite hockey memory? It could be a memory that you played in, or it could be a memory that you've had happen. Like for me, one of my very first memories, and I've told this on the pod numerous times, is the very first time I went to an ice hockey game with my uncle and my grandfather. And my uncle happened to be, it was in Kalamazoo. It was the K-Wings against Colorado. Surprisingly, I didn't find out about Colorado, that it was a Colorado team, until years later. And my uncle just happened to be, I'm standing there looking at the game, cheering it on, right, during warm-ups. And my uncle just happened to just point down to me. And next thing I know, this puck comes flying up, and my uncle just catches it barehanded and hands it to me. And,
That's
and I was
crazy.
pretty much hooked ever since.
That's crazy.
I didn't get a chance to play growing up. It wasn't until I was a junior, senior, where roller hockey started to progress in the area that I was in. And then it just, for me, then it just took off after that. And then I was just all about the hockey, inline hockey for sure. But so that's one of my memories right there. What about for you in that aspect?
Are you sure you want me to answer this?
Yes,
Colorado
I
Avalanche
do,
fan?
because I'm guaranteeing if you bring up the brawl, I will absolutely love you for life.
It's not the brawl, actually, but that's like top 5 for me for sure. If we're talking personal moments, I'll start there. Me playing hockey, it's our first national championship. So there was a time there a little bit in international play where we were doing every other year was a national championship. So like a US, a Canada, and then the next year would be the bigger one. So we won a national championship in 2009. That was the first year. And that was, winning for the first time at the highest level for us was amazing. Because when I started, we sucked. I'll be honest with you. I was awful. I was letting up 15 goals versus Calgary. It was terrible time. So turning that ship around and actually being good and winning a championship felt amazing. As far as just hockey as a whole, honestly, my favorite hockey moment is the Red Wings putting up 7 on Patrick Waugh in his last career game. I told you didn't want me to answer it.
No, and it's funny because, and I don't know if you know this, but Detroit actually ran him out of Montreal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
As well.
Oh yeah, I know it. That was the night of the Russian 5, I think, or like right around it, like the night it started, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it was either. Yeah, it was very, very soon. And their coach was just trying to send a message to Patty.
Yeah, and he walked to the bench and said, "I'm out."
He said that to the general manager. He's like, I'm not playing another game for this coach," is what he said. So, and I was a Montreal Canadiens fan because of Patrick Waugh, but then once he got traded to Colorado, I said, "This is my team. This is who I'm going to cheer for. I don't care." And then I watched him all the way, even through the bad years. Just like Detroit's had to deal with some down years the last couple of years.
Yeah, to throw that jab in there and see how it is.
It's a little bit. They're not doing too good right now. Against Carolina, I think they were down 4-2 last I knew.
The Avs, you're saying?
Yeah. So, but ever since the All-Star break, they've been coming out flat. So we'll see. We'll see if they can turn the ship around. But
they're too good to not have it going.
Oh, I just have a feeling that they're gonna have like a 3 or 4 game skid, and then they're just gonna tear it up again.
Yeah.
So, but that's a topic for a different day.
Yeah, we can always talk NHL hockey, right?
I know, right? But yeah, so well, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. Dean, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to explain to us about the Wheelchair Hockey League of Michigan. I hope that we are able to reach out to some players that may be interested. Hopefully we can get you some more volunteers. If you need anything from GCH or even me, I'll even make the trip over to Detroit to help call a game if I can. I'd be more than willing to do what I can to help you guys out.
Hey, at a bare minimum, just come check it out. That's all I got to say. Just come check it out. See what it's about.
Yeah. That's
So thank you,
sounds
and I
like,
appreciate it.
it sounds like a lot of fun, and I will take you up on it if I don't get a chance to get over there for the playoffs. I will definitely be there next season for sure. Just because the baby going on right now, you just don't know
Yep.
what's going to happen. So
Yep. Got to take care of family first. I got you.
yeah. But yeah, so I appreciate you taking the time. That's going to do it for GCH podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock. Thanks again, Dean Olivas. Got it.
You got
Yeah.
it. Yes.
All right. So we're going to catch you guys on the flip side.